Hi friends, Pastor Doug. Thought it would be good and helpful to do a little prophecy news update. I don't like to do this just all the time, but when I feel like there's something significant that maybe has been missed by the headlines, I like to show people some of the stuff that's still moving behind the scenes that Christians ought to be aware of. And I've got two or three things here I thought I ought to share with you. First of all, something that I think a lot of people may have missed is this appeal that's been made by an ecumenical group, and this was in June this year, to Pope Francis to lift the excommunication of Martin Luther, and in this way open the door to a new gesture of Catholic-Lutheran reconciliation. And so there's actually several evangelical and ecumenical groups in Europe, and they're saying, you know, there'd be a lot more cooperation, a lot more love if we could revoke this terrible division, this schism, this wound, according to Pope Francis. He uses those very words, this wound that has come into the family. If we could apologize for or take back the battle that took place between Martin Luther back in 1520 and Pope Leo X. Martin Luther posted his thesis on the door. The Pope read that, and he was sort of outraged, and the Pope sent a letter to Luther and Melanchthon. They rejected completely 41 of Luther's theses as errors that were either heretical, scandalous, false, offensive to pious ears, or seductive of simple minds, and against Catholic truth. And they gave Luther 60 days to recant, take it back, or face excommunication. Luther subsequently retaliated, and he declared whoever wrote this bull, he is the Antichrist, and it is a sacrilege and blasphemy of Christ. 60 days after the publication, Luther and his fellow reformer, Philip Melanchthon, burned in Wittenberg a copy of the bull, along with papal constitutions and books of canon law and scholastic theology. And so they're going back, they're hurling insults and anathema against one another. In the final chapter, in this sad episode of division, the ecumenical leaders saying this was a sad episode of division, January 3, 1521, Leo X notified the German reformer he had been formally excommunicated. Of course, he had been a priest and a doctor of theology and teacher of the law there in the Catholic Church, actually, in Wittenberg. And so now they're saying, you know, if Pope Francis can take the lead in retroactively withdrawing that excommunication, and if the Lutheran leaders would withdraw what they did. And so they're urging both parts to recall these condemnations that were hurled at each other, seeking for unity. So that's one thing I think is interesting. It's just part of the ongoing march for unity between the Protestants and Catholics, which prophecy foretells will happen in the last days. And then something in August 13, I don't know if you saw this spot in the news where it tells us that German Lutheran and Catholic bishops are awarded the Peace Prize for impressive testimony and ecumenism. And so a strong sign for Christian ecumenism, working together, love and support. The bishop of the Evangelical and Lutheran Church in Bavaria, Heinrich Bedford Strom, and the Munich Cardinal Reinhard Marx were awarded the 2020 Augsburg Peace Prize for their unconditional will to live together in peace. Because they're working together, they're getting a Peace Prize for doing that. And then more recently, September 4th, and I thought this was very interesting. You have to listen carefully as I read some of the facts of this. British and Irish churches launch Climate Sunday Project. Marking the start of the annual season of Creation Tide, the Climate Sunday initiative begins this weekend with local churches across Britain and Ireland holding climate-focused services to explore the theological and scientific basis of creation care and of action on climate, to pray and to commit to action. They want to take some action on what the churches can do regarding the climate change. And with the climate crisis accelerating and the greater public support for green recovery post-COVID-19, there's never been a more crucial time for the UK churches to come together and to pray and to act on the climate crisis. Over 700 red churches, I didn't know there were that many churches in Great Britain, over 700 churches registered before the year-long initiative has begun, so the organizers are hoping that there will be thousands of local climate Sundays with congregations from every denomination and tradition. And then the culmination of this campaign for Climate Sunday will be an event in Glasgow on Sunday, September 5, 2021, to celebrate the commitments that are made by churches at a local level over the previous year. Now, the reason I share this with you is you've seen some of our previous broadcasts where we've read the newspaper headlines. I think I must have a dozen of them, of major newspapers, everything from the Jerusalem Post to the New York Times, that are saying what we've learned from the pandemic is that as we cease our busyness and our work, that the environment seems to recover. And it would be a good idea to at least every Sunday, one day a week, if everybody from every religion, even atheists, if we would all commit to a climate-friendly Sunday, a green Sunday. They've got different terms for it. And this is in the same stream of that. And so I just, you know, the wheel of prophecy turns slowly, but it does turn. And these are just different cogs in the wheel that we see that are moving forward. And so I just think there's a lot going on, friends. And, you know, much of the world is distracted at the point of this recording. We're having, you know, incredible national disasters. There's hurricanes on the East Coast in Bermuda and the Gulf. We've got just historic, catastrophic fires on the West Coast. In fact, not too far from our home, at the time of this recording, the largest fire in California's history is burning 10 miles away. And you know what the governor said just today? He stood up, and Governor of California stood with the President of the United States, not too many miles from where I'm recording right now, and they were debating on whether this is bad forestry management or climate change that is causing these fires. And I realize there are climate issues. I know that there are pollution problems in the world today. You can see that the growth of population and the resources and the sprawl does have an effect on the environment. But I'll give you some firsthand testimony, friends, that as someone who's had a place in the hills for 40 years, we tried to put in fire breaks, and we were told by certain government agencies, we don't want you to do that anymore. And I used to work for the forestry, thinning the forest. And yeah, I was a professional forest thinner. They're not doing that. They wouldn't let us put in the fire breaks that we used to put in. And they said that they wanted to go back to wilderness area. Well, we all knew how that was going to end. Now we see these fires that are just so hard for the firefighters to stop. And so I just see where this climate concern, when people see these storms and these things happening, blaming it on the climate, all of it, and then telling people you can solve this if you would just guarantee to let the climate rest one day a week. And I can see that this is going to be more and more an argument that will be embraced by people from all backgrounds and religions. And so now some of this is my own commentary. I apologize for that, but we are living in interesting times, and we need to be praying, because I do think Jesus is coming soon. By the way, friends, this is a good time to remind you, if you want to know better what in the world is going on, Amazing Facts is going to be having a national, indeed international, evangelistic program beginning October 23 through November 14. It's called Revelation Now. I believe we're seeing the prophecies of Revelation being fulfilled around us. If you'd like to know more about this, how you can participate in this free evangelistic program in your church, in your home group, you can have Facebook or Zoom groups, go to revelationnow.com.